Good evening, everyone. My apologies, we're slightly delayed. Our roundtable, our impact investment roundtable this evening has actually ran on a little bit late this evening. So myself and Victoria here, Victoria Thompson from Aurora. We're here to kind of have a bit of a Q&A. If anyone has any questions, please do add them in the chat. We've just had a fantastic roundtable, an impact investors roundtable here in London. And perhaps, Victoria, you could share some of your initial thoughts.
Well, I think it was really positively received, the message that we were putting out there. And I'm really grateful to Lord Holmes of Richmond, who provided our opening statement, which was truly enable that to happen in the UK. And that's what we were talking about today, about creating the resilience and the financial shield for the UK to make sure that with the WHIS platform, that the likes of the Sepsis Trust, Social Prescribing Alliance can get access to that impact capital, and we can follow that story with the enablement of our financial shield instruments that we want to bring to market. And having people around the table like Lloyds Bank, like Deutsche Börse, like Clearbank, and the impact investors that were here, we can really make things move forward and bring that pilot project to the UK. And that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think when we started the session, we kind of outlined the opportunities, and we also highlighted the why. Why are we doing this? Because we've got huge problems in healthcare. We've got huge problems enabling capital flow into investments. And we can create that platform, that pipeline. What was very encouraging for me with people around the table, like Lloyds and talking to the banking sector, was this appetite for change and that appetite to work with us, which was really encouraging. You know, to be able to have, you know, we had Dr. Ron Daniels here, we had James from the Global Social Prescribing Alliance, and we had other colleagues, and being able to make the connections was fascinating, just to see the opportunities that are being realized. So, I mean, it's very encouraging for anyone who's watching this and who have been following our journey from when we started back in 2015, when we started with a tweet. And now we have this opportunity to work with investors to actually look at projects and pipeline, like we have AMR, sepsis, social prescribing, space medicine, pediatrics, disabilities, inclusion. There's so many different areas that we can now support. And then, of course, creating this orb. And maybe you can explain to people what the orb is, and working with Aurora and looking at that fintech solution, which we can then anchor in with the institutions and work with Lord Holmes. I mean, that was really encouraging.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, what we've developed with our Aura Resilience instrument is a hybrid instrument. So enabling impact capital to be delivered in either grants or aid or patient capital or loans and investment, to be able to follow that story using financial services and did the power of tokenized instruments and digital assets to then feed that information back about where that impact is going. And we've been hard at work in Aurora since the pandemic about building that story, using the grants that we've been given by the UK government to develop these proof of concepts and concepts of instruments, to now where we are today, where we can actually bring this to life to make it work in the UK and show how, in partnership with WHIS and social enterprises, we can enable that impact capital to really make a difference in communities. And I think that's what I took away from today, is that while big problems exist, actually the solutions are there. And what we really now need to do is just get those little bits of money into that last mile to make it really easy for people like Ron to make that clinical pathway. So people, when they are at home, can get access to that treatment. So we're not giving antibiotics to people who really don't need them, and then creating those systemic problems that then do seem rather large to solve. Actually, it's that early intervention in that clinical pathway, simple solutions, helping enterprise, helping communities deliver, that can really make that difference.
Yeah, and being able to talk to bankers and financial institutions around the business model and the data behind prevention, which was fascinating. So, you know, this is what we spent our life working on, the business case towards the health sector, which is a cost. but we're actually demonstrating the value that we can create by doing early interventions, like in school programs through WHISKids, for mental health and well-being, preventing these conditions before they manifest and get worse over time. That's what I found fascinating. So being able to talk to bankers and being able to make that connection, and them understanding that there is a financial model and there is a business case here, which is very profitable and valuable for society, we can then release that capital into new funding instruments, and then provide that capital to invest in new enterprises, new businesses that do good and also create value and create profit as well in some capacities. I mean, it was fascinating to hear those conversations, and then everyone wanting to be engaged, take it to the next level, become part of an expert group that we're forming. That's what was really encouraging. And, there's big players at the table, and it's exciting.
Yeah, there are people that can really make things happen, and that's where we are now. This is about taking that next step, and just like Lord Holmes said in his the end of his closing speech, is go out and go out and make things happen, make that connection. And that's what we're really about. That's what the WHIS platform is about. And that's why with Orora, we want that ecosystem to exist. We want that platform to exist. And we're about that, bringing that money, that value where it will have the biggest difference, and making sure that we do that in a transparent and accountable way, because that's what the power of digital assets, tokenized instruments really is. It's not just about cheaper, faster, quicker. It's actually about a beautiful data story that we can tell about the impact that money can really have.
Yeah, and ultimately we're able to demonstrate the health is wealth. And if you're fitting well, you have a job. You can contribute. At the moment, we have an ill health society. We have 2.5 million people who are who have ill health in the UK, and this is replicated all over the world. And we have to understand that the pinch point for health systems at the moment is there's not enough staff, and we're aging. We have an aging population. We've a lot of pressures on our system. And now, how do we invest wisely for the future? How do we create that model, that funding instrument that puts early intervention at the forefront? And that's what we're trying to pioneer through the World Health Innovation Summit, but working with partners, working with stakeholders, working with the financial institutions to be able to measure that impact and then raise more capital, so more capital can be released in to the system. I mean, I think we were looking at today the UK pioneering this, and that's an opportunity for the UK to take the bull by the horns and to pioneer this. And I'm very much really confident after today's meeting that we will take the next steps and make this happen. Everyone in the room here is about action and getting down to making this happen. So very excited. I mean, I'm looking forward to the next steps. I'm excited for the next steps. What we were very keen to emphasize, everyone around the table, was that we need to build trust. We need to build transparency. I mean, I think that's what the founding principles of the World Health Innovation have been, is to build that social capital, to work with openness and transparency, and then to work with Orora so that we measure all that in a chain, so that we can demonstrate the value that's being created and then raise more capital.
Yeah. But I'm excited about the fact that everybody who left the roundtable wanted that follow-up email. When are we next getting together? When are we next taking things forward? And there's a lot of emails to write now after this session, and make sure that we continue this momentum.
Well, just before we finish off, that's why we were late, so our apologies, because people weren't leaving. The people hadn't left the roundtable. We were actually due to finish at 6 o'clock, but it ran on. So my deepest apologies. But keep in mind, keep supporting us. The whole purpose of this as well is for people and communities to support our activities so that we can actually generate value and reinvest that back into the communities. Myself and Victoria are on this journey in the UK, and then we plan to scale it with our colleagues in the US and around the world. So it's a very exciting time. And we'll just say thank you very much for tuning in, and we look forward to sharing more. And for myself and Victoria, who are, I'm finally just to say thank you to Coolies who have supported us here in London, and everyone who supported us, and Lord Holmes. We're very grateful for the support. So we'll end this broadcast, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. So thanks, everyone. Bye.